Alright, so now I'm just going to go into the student class that I have created last to last lecture, and we're gonna use that class in another py file, create a students. Alright, so here we have that. Let me say file, and I say I'm gonna open class examples. If you remember, I had created a class student, and I had done a count, which was a global variable. Over here it is a class variable, instance of a class, not an instance of an object. And whenever an object was created, whenever a new student was created, the count was updated to 1. Of course, whenever the object was deleted, the student count was decreased by 1. Then we had something like calculate grade, where we calculate the grade by using the marks of the student. If it is greater than or equal to 70, less than or equal to 100, things like that. Okay, and then we had a get count, which would return the student.count. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this entire thing out. I'm going to create a new file and paste it out here and save it in the current directory I'm working in. So I'm working now in, I'm working in documents in this particular directory. So let me say I'm gonna work here. I just did package right now, and I'm gonna work here, and I'm gonna save it as a student, .py with an S small, and this class student is with an S capital. Alright, so with this I have defined my student.py and class student. Now I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to close the earlier file that I've opened. I'm going to take a new file, and I'm going to name this as student details, which means the details of the students I'm going to put up here in this .py file. This is another class, that's student.py, which will be used to create a particular student. So now I need to import this particular class, yes or no? Or I need to import this student.py. So can I say import student? I can just say that, import student. Or I can also say something like this, from student import class student. Okay, so I can do both ways. My first one, and this is my second. So I can just say import student. That is with a small one. Okay, for now I'm going to go with the above version, where I'm going to import capital S student. I'm just importing the class, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the user to give me the name. So I say enter your name. And basically I'm going to tell whichever student comes, I'm going to say enter your name, and he enters the name. Of course, I take that, it's already a string, I'm going to take it into a variable, which is going to be name. Then I'm going to say roll, I'm going to say input, enter your roll number, right? Then I say enter your gender. One more thing, when you input a roll number, you should convert it into an int, otherwise you're gonna have a string. Gender input, enter your gender. So they're gonna do that. And finally you have something called S marks. If you need, you can just ask them for the marks. So marks can be, of course, you're going to input it from the user saying enter your marks, right? And after telling him to input it, I might use it as an integer or as a float, which means I need to typecast it, and I'm going to typecast it into a floating variable, and then I'm going to say yes, enter. Now first of all, I'll just print what is the current student.class. Sorry, student is capital S. I've imported the class with a capital S, which means student.count. I'm just going to print that for now, and then I'm going to call a new student. Let me just define a new student, and that new student will be made based on whatever name that fellow has entered, roll, gender and marks. I'm just going to pass that out there. Alright, and of course I'll print student.count after that. Okay, so I can see what's happening. And then I create another student, let's say S2. This time I'm not taking anything from the user. I'm gonna pass it now itself with something like ABC. His roll number is gonna be something like 2. Let's say he, and marks is something like 85.5. Okay, of course once I'm gonna print student.count once again, just to see if my count is incremented, right? And then after that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna calculate the grade. Okay, I'm gonna say print grade of here. I'm gonna say grade of what is the name of that student. Okay, I'm gonna say is what is, again another one. I'm gonna say like this, and of course this is a string. I need to format it with, it needs 2 parameters. The 0th parameter is going to be the name, which I'm going to call it as s1.name, and the grade of 0 is 1. So 1 is basically, I need to get his grade. So grade is, how can I get grade? I need to call this particular function calculate grade, which is there in student.py, which means if I have to calculate grade, I can call this calculate grade using which particular, I need to call it with this particular object name, s1 dot calculate grade. Okay, I don't need to pass anything else in that. And with this, of course I can print. Okay, say for example, if you want to, okay, I also want to print the grade of the second student. I'm just going to copy this completely, and I'm going to say grade of, this is the student 2, right? So which means in format it's going to be s2.name and s2.calculate grade. And I'm going to run this out. I'm just going to say okay, enter your name. Let's say he enters something like XYZ. Enter your roll number. I say 1. Gender, a girl, or let me say female. And enter your marks. That's gonna be, let's say 50. Enter. Oh, grade of XYZ. So this is where I just, when I created my first object, before creating my first student, it printed the student.count. There's 0 students. Then after this student came in, I printed student.count. It was 1. And the second student, I created that and then printed student.count was 2. And then I printed the grade by saying grade of XYZ is C. So I calculated grade by calling it from another class. So this is how I can use packages together along with object-oriented programming so that we can get our things done. Hope that's clear to you right now. With this, we go to a new lesson next time. Hope you enjoyed this and hope you practice it out.